Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Benji-Sales live chat. It's good to be back. It's good to see everybody. How are you doing today? Can you let me know off the top? I adjusted a few things with my mic. Can you just let me know if it sounds good in chat? Shouldn't be anything crazy, but I made a couple tweaks. So let me know in chat really quick if my mic sounds okay or if it's too loud, but I don't think it's too loud. All right, everybody. So we're getting in. I know the ideal situation would have been to wait to get a live chat in this week until after Summer Game Fest, but that's not going to be possible for me because I'm about to go on vacation. I start vacation tomorrow, so I'm going to be on vacation. So this is the only chat. Really, let me think. All next week, I'm also on vacation. So unless I decide to do an impromptu one, on Twitter or something. You know what? Maybe I'll do a Twitter Spaces next week after E3. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do a Twitter, or not E3, but after the Xbox Bethesda showcase. Maybe I'll do a Twitter Spaces with everybody so we can talk there. But there's going to be no YouTube live chat next week because I will be on vacation. So we had to get one in today. Today was the only day this week that I could do a live chat. I wanted to make sure I got one since, like I said, no live chat next week. There will be one the week after that. So just so you know off the top, no live chats next week. But I might do a Twitter Spaces, so keep your eye out for that if you follow me on Twitter. What can we talk about today? Well, there's been some leaks. I don't know if people are going to talk about some of the leaks that have come up, but you can. We can get hyped for the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, which is coming this Sunday. We can get hyped for Summer Game Fest 22, which is tomorrow. And we can talk about anything that you want. So if this is your first time ever as part of my live stream, the way it works, it's a show, it's a stream, it's 100% driven by you, your comments, your questions. You just drop them into chat, and I get to as many as I possibly can. There's going to be two ways to do that. First of all, of course, there's the free method. You just type a question, it pops into chat, and I get to as many free questions as I possibly can. If you want to guarantee that I get to your question, the way to do that is going to be the super chat option. You just type a donation, whatever you want, pops into chat, and I get to super chats immediately. Don't feel pressured or obligated to donate in chat. It's just a way to help support me and the channel. All right, everybody. I don't think there's any real other housekeeping notes besides, like I said, I'm on vacation next week, so don't be looking for a live chat next week. And yeah, Modern Warfare 2 reveal just happened right before we went live on this stream. If you guys want to ask about Modern Warfare 2, you can do that. Summer Game Fest, Kojima leaks, whatever you want, guys. So start filling that chat up with your comments and questions. All right, I'm already seeing a chunk in here, so let's get rocking. Mihir Basur, I'm sure I said that wrong. I apologize. Hi, Benji. We ought to see Playdead's next game revealed somewhere this month. What do you think? Have they been teasing it? Let me see. When was the last Playdead? What was the date on Playdead's last announced game? Let me see. Have they had one since Inside? That's what I'm wondering. Because if they haven't had one since Inside, that's crazy. But I kind of think they haven't, unless I'm forgetting something. Yeah, dude. So they haven't had a game since 2016. I hope. If they've been teasing it, then that's amazing. Because, guys, if you haven't played Inside yet, listen. I ain't gonna spoil nothing for you here yet. If you have not played Inside, go play Inside. It is wow, what a game. That's all I'm gonna say. Just wow. When you finish that game, if you start it, make sure you finish it. When you finish Inside, you will be blown away. If they've been teasing this, I unfortunately missed it. But hopefully we see Playdead's next game really soon. They are very due. If it wasn't since 2016 that they've released a game, that's years. Obviously, they're a small studio, so it takes, a lot of times these smaller teams, it takes quite a few years to get their stuff out. Look what's going on with Hollow Knight Silksong. So I hope so. If we see it revealed, could be Xbox stage. They had a good relationship over Limbo, so that wouldn't shock me. Or it could be at Summer Game Fest. Either one of those I could see. Because like I said, the history with Limbo on Xbox, or Jeff Keighley's going to have some stuff. So either one of those would be amazing, but we'll have to see. Joseki, Benji, hope you're having an awesome life. What's up, Joseki? Great to see you. A bit of a fun question first. Is there any genre that you never played that you want to play to expand your gaming horizons? The past 2.5 years, I had so much fun exploring different things that I never considered before. Gaming is great and so diverse, and it's a shame mainstream is only about FPS, third-person shooters, RPGs, etc. So, for me, I've always played a ton of genres. So genre has never been a thing that I've stayed away from, but there are some major series that I still need to play that I do have a goal of getting to in the next, let's say, 12 months. This is going to come as a shocker considering how much I love Final Fantasy. I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game. I do want to play through that Kingdom Hearts series before Kingdom Hearts 4 gets here. So that's one that's been on my list, and I'm like, dude, how have I never played Kingdom Hearts? Like, I need to play Kingdom Hearts. That's a big one for me. Let me think. What's another series? I know there was a couple that I wanted to get to. I still need to finish the Xenoblade games. I started Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and then got pulled away from it. I want to play through that in 2, obviously, so I can get 3. But in terms of genres, I'll be honest, I'm one of those people that plays just about everything. There's not really any genres I've ever stayed away from. It's more just, like I said, some random series that I just, for some reason, have never gotten to. So that's going to be my main focus. But I agree with you that people really should, experiment a little bit more. And that's one thing I think that Game Pass has really helped with in the industry. There's a lot of data supporting this, not to just give Game Pass a random shout out, but there's a lot of data to support that people with Game Pass try a lot of genres that they haven't traditionally before. And that makes a lot of sense because it's so low risk. If you have Game Pass, literally the only risk for trying these games is clicking the install button, right? It's not like before, if you're somebody that only has a certain amount of money, it makes sense you'd kind of stick with stuff that that you like, because if I'm going to drop $60 or $50 on games, they're expensive. You want to get something that you think you're definitely going to like. That's one cool thing about Game Pass. It opens up horizons. I can tell you, I've been playing games through Game Pass that I wouldn't have normally probably played because I wouldn't have bought them. Not necessarily because of genre, just because I only can buy so many games. What am I going to pick and choose? So that's one thing that is actually a very cool stat about Game Pass. I hope that helps expand people's horizons on genres. I think we had a super chat drop. Let me hit that super chat. We did. Benji here with a super chat with a 5. Thank you so much, Benji. Hey Benji, not many leaks this year pre-E3/Summer Game Fest time frame. Is it a positive sign that big announcements are well kept, or it's a down year? So here's the thing. There is definitely going to be some big announcements out of the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. Now, Keighley's show, we don't really know, right? We just literally don't know. I'm not going to say that Keighley doesn't have huge stuff here. We just don't know. It's hard to say. He said one thing about tempering expectations in terms of big crazy new announcements, and some people misconstrued that as him saying there's not going to be anything super cool, it's only going to be smaller projects or DLCs or stuff. I saw some people running with that narrative, and I saw Keighley reply to VGC's article on it, and he said, hey, keep in mind, last year Elden Ring was an announced game, and we all know how huge Elden Ring was. So Keighley wasn't necessarily saying that, hey, Summer Game Fest isn't going to have any big cool things to show, because there are some huge announced games that we haven't seen a lot on, so that he could very well have some really big stuff here. He basically was just saying, hey, don't expect 20 new AAA games to get announced at Summer Game Fest. So I think Keighley's probably going to have 1 or 2 really cool things. I think there's going to be some other cool stuff too that's probably smaller, but I'm thinking Keighley probably has 1 or 2 really big things to show that are probably going to get people really hyped. But they're probably going to be stuff that's already announced. We all know these rumors about God of War Ragnarok being there. They're floating around everywhere. Again, I don't know if I believe this, but if Keighley has God of War Ragnarok at Summer Game Fest, that's going to be huge. People are going to freaking lose their minds if they get a new trailer and a date there. Again, I don't want to tell you that I believe this rumor because I don't know. I'm just saying it's floating around everywhere now. It's out on Twitter. Everybody's seen it, that it's here. I don't know that. I don't want to set your expectations up that it's there, but I won't be shocked. To be honest, if it's there now, I won't be super shocked because that is an announced game. So it very well could be there. Now, in terms of Xbox, they're definitely going to have some big stuff. But here's the key. It sounds like, I heard Jeff Grubb say this, they got that show on lockdown this year. Last year, Grubb mentioned how this time last year, he knew literally the entire show. He knew like basically every single game that's going to be here. He said he doesn't know anything about the show. He said he knows 2 games that won't be there. I won't spoil them for you here if you don't want to be spoiled. He did say which 2 games, but he said outside of 2 games that won't be there, he does not know. I think that's Microsoft just locking it down. I can tell you that I have heard through the grapevine that leaks are getting harder and harder to get out of Microsoft right now. They used to be, I don't want to say easy, but people used to get more information on Xbox than they have lately. So, Benji, I think that the Xbox show in particular is going to be amazing. Like, I really think there's a good chance this might be Xbox's best showcase ever. Summer Game Fest, like I said, I think it's going to be cool. Just don't expect like craziness. Don't think you're going to go in there and get 50 unannounced games getting revealed. But keep your eyes open for 1 or 2 big things. Like, I think that Keeley had Elden Ring last year. That was huge. I think he's going to have something similar this year. All right. Thank you so much for that super chat, Benji. Dante21 here. Benji, love what you do here. Thank you so much, Dante21. Do you think we'll get to see God of War tomorrow with the release date? So we were just talking about that. That is the rumor. Here's the thing. I will say in the last week, I've felt it's more possible than I did whenever I did this live chat last week. So last week was when this rumor was first starting to float around. And I was like, it's hard for me to see it unless Sony's just not going to do a state of play on God of War. But, the more I think about it, the more I think it's possible. Now, do I go all the way to I'm 90% confident? No. It's just now I'm back to like 50-50. Before this, I would have said I thought it was more likely it wouldn't happen. Now, to me, it's a coin flip, Dante. I don't think it's impossible because here's the reason. Sony right now doesn't have any announced big summer showcases. I've already said I think they're going to have a big first-party showcase, but I think that's going to be in September. And that's way too late to announce God of War's release date if it's still this year, right? You don't do a showcase in September, and let's say this game is October or November. You don't announce a game that big is coming out in a month or a month and a half. You know what I mean? So they're going to have to announce this summer. If it's still coming this year, God of War Ragnarok it's not a theory, it is going to get a date in the next month or 2. Like, they have to. They have to give it that date if it's still coming out this year. So I tell you what, Dante, I don't think it's impossible. It's an already announced game. Sony doesn't have a ton of places right now to announce that date. They could still do a state of play even on this game. If this is a short trailer, if this is just like a 2 or 3 minute long trailer with a date, they could still do that and then still do like a more deep dive state of play in a month or 2. That's not impossible. So Dante, don't run with it. Don't assume it's going to be there. I don't think it's impossible. 50-50 chance for me now. I think that there's a legitimate chance God of War could be at Summer Game Fest. I don't think it's impossible. Hummersley Ford, I knew this was going to come up. Thoughts on the leaked Kojima game? If you saw it, I did. Do you think it is partnered with Xbox like Grub? Yes, I do. I think we're going to see it at Summer Game Fest as the before we go announcement at an Xbox event. Also, it sucks that both Kojima games got leaked. LOL, he likes secrecy too. Yeah, I feel bad for Kojima on this one. I have really changed my mind on like leaks from where I used to be on them. So there was a time whenever I very first got like going on Twitter and stuff that I wanted to know all the leaks and I wanted to like have that info and potentially even be the guy that could put some of this stuff out there. And as I got more connected with people in the industry, and again, I don't want to say I'm like best friends with tons of people in the industry because I'm not, but I have a lot of, let's say, acquaintances, like tons of people I interact with in the industry. The more I realized how much leaks hurt developers, hurt like the vibes within these studios, starts to make people wonder who you can trust with information. A lot of times there's investigations internally to find out who did this. So I've really kind of moved away from being that guy that's like super all about leaks. Don't get me wrong, I still think the video game industry is indeed too secretive. But here's the thing, that doesn't have to be through leaks. Just announce your stuff earlier. Like, you don't even have to put out big, huge CG trailers. But one of the reasons why there's so much less secrecy in the movie industry, because we always compare, right? Well, films and TV are so less secret than than games are, that's because they announce all this stuff early. Like, they just tell you, hey, this show's in the work, we're doing casting, this movie's getting work, here's the company that's going to be doing it, here's how. I think the industry needs to move a little bit more towards that than just these, like, try and stay as secret as possible until the last 30 seconds and then just drop all this crazy reveals at the last second, because it's going to get leaked. So I think the industry, you see signs that is happening, right? You see all these announcements that are coming out earlier and earlier, like Amy Hennig announcing, we're making a Marvel game with not a lot to show. You saw Respawn and Star Wars make those announcements about the Fallen Order sequel before that thing was ever shown. And hey, we're making an FPS Star Wars game before that thing was even shown. Because it kind of gets out in the front of leaks. Because it's a lot less valuable if you're a leaker to be like, oh, here's a leak on that game that you all already knew existed. I'm not saying that anyone that goes out and does leaks is bad. Not at all. I follow a ton of people that are in the leak game. A ton of them. It's not on the person to respect marketing cycles. You know what I mean? So I'm not blasting people that leak. That's totally fine. Do what you're going to do. I'm just saying I kind of don't do a ton of the leaks now. And I do feel bad for Kojima because literally both the games that he's working on have leaked. We found out last December in Famitsu, he did an interview with Famitsu in Japan, and he said, we have 2 games in development. They both leaked. So Norman Reedus leaked Death Stranding 2, and now Overdose, the horror game that he's making, has leaked. Do I think this is the Xbox game? Yeah, I'm pretty much like 99% sure it's the Xbox game. I mentioned this before. I knew that Kojima was talking with Xbox before Grubb even went out there with his article. I have proof of that. And so this was a very real thing. Now, we never found out for sure if this got signed, right? No one came out and said it was a completely done deal. I can tell you it's not a debate. I know for a fact Kojima and Xbox were in negotiations. I think this is that game. I'm not going to leak everything here. It has leaked online. Some of the things that have leaked around this game point towards a cloud game, towards being able to play it on your phone. I'm not telling you this is a mobile-only game. It's very clear that this is a streaming type experience, cloud stuff going on with it. So yeah, it all lines up to the things that I was hearing, that Grubb was hearing, that it was a partnership, that it was being built around cloud, that sort of thing. So I think so. Yeah, I really think that this is legit. I don't know that for a fact. This isn't super insider information. It lines up with things I heard a long time ago and that have also been reported. So I think so. I think this is probably the Xbox game. It will be announced, I think, really soon. I think that's why it's leaking. Summer Game Fest or the Xbox event, I'm expecting it. And probably, I agree, Summer Game Fest of the two, because we know how good of a relationship Kojima and Jeff have. And it also gives Xbox an opportunity to show something at Summer Game Fest and hype up the Xbox show. So I agree, Hamish. I agree with all of that. I do think this is the Xbox Kojima game, and I do think we are about to see it. Yep. So, and it is a bummer for Kojima that literally both the games that they're working on have leaked. Both of them. All right. I think we just had a super chat. Let me hit that super chat. We did. IcePick 1878 here with a 1999. Thank you so much, IcePick. That is super generous. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Your weekly stream has become a ritual of mine. Just want to say thank you. Oh, dude, thank you so much, IcePick. That means a lot to me. You know, between last week and this week, there have been some really nice comments about enjoying the streams. I so appreciate that. You know, I talked about it last stream, so I'm not going to go super in depth here. I'm not the biggest YouTuber. I'm not out here getting 100,000 views per video, but they really average right around that 700 mark. Sometimes they're a little bit lower, sometimes 600, sometimes they're a little bit higher, 800. And maybe for some people, that's not a big YouTuber. And, you know, people that are creators are like, I need more views, I need more views. To me, 700 to 800, 600 people watching something over the course of a week, that's a lot of people to me. I really appreciate it, IcePick. I love doing these chats. I love hearing your guys' feedback that you love doing these chats. And I look forward to them every single week. So don't, IcePick, I'm going to have to break your ritual next week because I'm going to be on vacation, but we will be back the week right after that, all right? Thank you so much for that super chat. That's very kind. Okay. Joseki here with another comment. Thank you so much, Joseki. Oh, whoa. This is crazy. Right after I just said that, that is nuts if this is... Wait. Did you mean 22? Okay, let me read this really quick. I'm going to read what Joseki said, but I think there's a typo. Oh, wait, no, it is 2022 right now. Justin, God of War Ragnarok delayed till 2023. I'm losing track of time, guys. It is 2022 right now. According to Game Reactor, citing multiple European sources, a verified Spanish journal on Arrow wrote he heard the same thing, very end of the year or 2023. Wild. Okay, so I'm going to have to work through this. You guys might have more information than me at this point now, because Joseki would have dropped this a while ago. Very interesting, and I will say it's not a shock if it happens. I kept saying, up until recently, when some of the merch listings started, I kept saying that I was thinking God of War was holiday, that it was pushed all the way to like November. If it got pushed to early 2023, that to me is not a shock. We don't have this confirmed. I wouldn't be surprised because we've seen so little on it. You know what I mean? Like, we have still seen so little on this game. It's kind of the same thing as the Starfield effect, where it wasn't shocking that Starfield got delayed till early next year. Now, I don't want to say that they're equivalent in terms of we saw the exact same things, because God of War at least did have a legit big in-game trailer, whereas Starfield, we just saw that small in-game stuff and then a lot of concept art. But it was a bit of a similar boat in that we had still overall seen so little of either game. Because even what we saw out of Ragnarok, I mean, it was a tiny little snippet with not much information afterwards. So if this is true, who knows? If it is true that Ragnarok is pushed to early 2023, I would not be surprised by that at all. I started getting hopeful that it might be as soon as September once we started seeing the merch listings, once we saw God of War as one of the June PlayStation Plus games. I still think, and this isn't inside info, I'm just guessing here, I still think it's going to make this year, like late in the year. But if we do find out it's early 2023, not a shock considering how little we've seen of it. So we'll have to see. But that is interesting. Thanks for the info, Joseki. All right. We had a couple super chats hit. Thank you so much, guys. Wow, three super chats in a row. Wow, thank you guys so much. Timmer72299 here. Thoughts on the recent Kotaku report / article regarding Fallout 76? Timmer, I apologize. I have not read this article. I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't really read Kotaku. I find some of their headlines to be a little tasteless. This isn't an insult to anyone working there. I'm sure that there's some great people that are working at Kotaku, but I kind of don't read their articles. I don't really like the way that they frame the titles of their articles. It's really clickbaity. I'm not going to say all of it. If you work at Kotaku somehow when you watch the stream, I'm not trying to insult you, but I don't love the way that they frame their articles. So, Timmer, I will answer this, but post in chat what exactly like the context of the article is, because I haven't read it, and then I'll get right back to your super chat. Okay, Timmer? Joseki here with the 2 super chat. FYI on Era, multiple people like Nate Drake denied. Yeah, I'm still leaning, Joseki, that God of War is going to make this year. Again, I don't have this on insider information. I think if it was going to get delayed till next year, we would know about it by now. That's just the way I feel. We're pretty decently into the year now. We're basically halfway through. We're in June. I think if they thought that they weren't going to make it, they would have publicly announced a delay by now. So, Joseki, I'm leaning that it's probably still this year, but we'll have to see. I wouldn't be shocked if it's delayed till next year, but that's good to hear. I think it's still going to make it, but probably just late. It's probably going to be later in the year. Highlander, thank you for that super chat. Highlander here with a 5 super chat. Thank you so much, Highlander, for doing these. You're always so generous. Thank you so much, Highlander. It's great to see you. This Microsoft / Bethesda showcase will be great. Next year's show with the addition of Activision Blizzard added to Microsoft, the show will be fire. I do agree that this year's in particular is going to be really strong. I'll be surprised if it's not. And the main reason is because, like I've said before, so many of the Xbox games that have been announced, we have seen so little on. So I think this year's in particular is going to be better than last year's. A lot of people loved last year's show. I'm pretty confident this year's is going to be better because I think we're really going to see these games. So I think we're really going to see a lot of Redfall. We're really going to see a lot of Starfield. We're really going to see a lot of Forza Motorsport. Obviously, new announcements as well, right? It's not going to only be updates on things we've seen. But I think we're going to get a lot beefier gameplay, have a real idea what these games are. Because while last year's show was good, I agree with everyone out there that said, wow, last year was a really great Xbox show. The one thing you could detract from it is a lot of those announcements we saw so little on what the games actually are. I think this year will be much different. Are you going to still have some of those games that are further out that are only going to get teases? Yeah, that's any show, right? Any PlayStation show, any Nintendo show, there's always those further out games that you only show a concept trailer or some CG. This is normal industry things. But I think a lot of these games that were announced that we've seen so little on, we should see a lot. I think we're going to see a big chunky gameplay of these games. So Highlander, I think it's going to be really good, really good. There's probably going to be a couple games that aren't there, referencing what Grubb has said, which I won't leak here because I don't want to spoil the show for you guys. There might be a couple games not there that people are going to be upset that, man, I wanted to see that game. But I think overall it's going to be a great show. And next year with Activision Blizzard will be great. Yep, I agree. All right, super chats are cleared. Thank you so much for those super chats, guys. I really, really appreciate that. Let's get back to your free questions. Let's see, where are we at? Benji here. Hi, Benji. How do you think Ben is perceived internally at Sony? They don't seem to get the same love as Guerrilla or Naughty Dog. Will this change with the successful new IP? So, if you ever read Jason Schreier's article about what happened with Bend, I think part of it, Benji, is because Bend had never had big AAA games. Days Gone was really their first big AAA project. So, of course, so much of the visibility on these, at least in modern times, right? Like, if you look before that, they were doing, this studio's been around for a long time, but they were doing stuff like Siphon Filter and stuff back in the day, which is a pretty beloved franchise, but it wasn't like these big giant budget crazy games that you see nowadays, right? They did stuff like Uncharted on the Vita. They did stuff like, that type of thing. They hadn't been building these big giant AAA games. Of course, a studio that's not getting these flagship giant titles isn't going to get the same sort of attention both internally and externally as the Naughty Dogs, as the Santa Monicas that have been making these big, huge games. So I do think there is some truth to that, what you're saying, Benji. I also do think, though, that that they're probably getting more elevated within Sony right now in terms of internally because we know they're helping studios like Naughty Dog. Sounds like there might have been, this isn't inside information, this is referencing the Schreier article. Sounds like there might have been a little bit of friction there when that was first going on, but I doubt it is anymore. It was more just Bend kind of getting put on projects that they didn't necessarily love the idea of doing. But I feel like this is a studio actually that's headed in a positive direction. They got a lot of fan love after Days Gone. I know that game didn't review that well with critics, but a lot of players really liked Days Gone. I'm not going to say everybody, right? I'm not trying to tell you Days Gone was a perfect game, but there was a lot of fan support behind that game. And seeing them do a new IP is pretty exciting. So I feel like Bend is moving in a positive direction overall. We need to see what their new IP looks like, right? It's hard to get like super hyped when we have no idea what this game is. We just know it's a new IP. We know it's open world. There will be a multiplayer component involved. But I'm pretty confident in Ben, to be honest with you. And internally, I think that they are getting probably a better reputation because they are helping Naughty Dog with some big projects. And they're also, joining into that AAA space. So I feel positive about Ben, is what I'll say. Danger Man, hello, everyone. You always say that. Yep, that's always how I kick off the stream. Johnny G saying, what's up, Johnny G? Highlander saying, enjoy your vacation. Thank you so much. I'm going to the beach. I'm headed beach bound, baby. Ready to be on the beach. The volume is okay, but you are clipping a bit. Yeah, okay. So this was the problem I was having last week. So I tried to turn the gain down. All right, I turned the gain down a little bit more. It's pretty low, so hopefully, like the actual gain, so hopefully I'm not clipping. But I noticed that last week the mic was a little hot, so I tried to bring it down a bit. I don't know. Hopefully it's okay, but we'll have to see. Hamishly Ford saying it would be cool to have a live reaction show. I'd love to do it, but there's going to be no way for me to do a live reaction to the Xbox Bethesda showcase. I'm literally only going to have my phone. I'm not going to have a computer, a laptop, anything like that. I apologize. I would love to do a live reaction. I'm still going to cover it, but I can't react to the Xbox Bethesda showcase because I'm going to be on the beach. There ain't going to be no way for me to do it. You'll still see me cover it on Twitter, and like I said, Hamish, I might do a Twitter Spaces. I've never done a Twitter Spaces. Maybe I'll do a Twitter Spaces after the show, and we can all talk about it there. Maybe we'll shoot for that. Okay, I'm a little worried about doing a space because I have, like I've said, I have a way bigger following there and a lot more hot takes on Twitter Spaces. So I'm a little worried that when I bring people on to talk that we might get some craziness. But as long as I have mods helping me, then maybe we can make it work. But I've always been a little worried about doing a Twitter Spaces, to be honest with you. I try to keep the conversation civil, and I could see it spiraling out of control on Twitter. Joseki. Yeah, I hope the Twitter Spaces are going to be moderated because I've been in some not so well moderated, and boy, do they suck. Exactly. That's been my worry, Joseki. That is my worry, why I've never done a Twitter Space. So I would need to be careful. I would say, here's what I'll say, Joseki. If I do it, I'll probably only bring people up to talk that are names I recognize and trust. I'll be honest. I don't mean this to be insultful to other people that would want to talk, but I feel like Twitter Spaces, it would be a real gamble to just be pulling up random names. Be like, okay, what do you think? Because it could get crazy quick. Ryan Kelly. Benji, what do you make of the new leaker who called the full order of the state of play? What do you think he leaked this morning? Ryan, I think you're referencing the guy or girl, we don't know, that might have just leaked The Last of Us Remake's release date. I'm not going to signal boost it too much here. You can find it. It's all over online if it's true. I wouldn't be shocked if this is accurate because... Spoiler alert, most of these accounts that are real leakers that pop up are just other people that you already know making accounts. Spoiler alert, if you're on Reset Era, some of those people that have just randomly appeared and have known information, those are people you already knew beforehand. They just created a new account and leaked stuff. I know some of this stuff is true in terms of people that are well known in the industry leaking things under different aliases. So, I would say if this is all accurate, again, it is probably not some mystery person. It is probably someone that's well known doing it under a different alias. I don't know that for sure. I don't have any contact or any information on this person, but it seems that they may very well be pretty well in tune with some of the happenings in the industry. We'll have to see. If that date's also right, and that is the remake's date, wow, this is someone really connected, considering some of the other leaks. So we'll have to see, Ryan Kelly. We'll have to see. Richard O. So this is funny. It's about time you have a YouTube channel. Richard, I've been on YouTube for years. Just tons of people don't know about it because I don't advertise my YouTube channel. When did I make this thing? I'm pretty sure I've been on YouTube now for like 5 years. So many people don't know about it. When was like my first video about... Okay, so 2019. So I haven't been on here as long as I thought. So I've been on here since 2019, but still, I've been on here 3 years. And here's what's crazy. So in those 3 years, my total views, because I'll just say them here, I don't care. My total views in 3 years is 159,000. That's less than most YouTubers, not most, than like big YouTubers get on a random video. My whole channel in 3 years has done less than what a lot of big YouTubers do in one video. So, Richard O, this is not new. I've been here since 2019 doing these just about every week. Just a lot of people don't know about it. 2 reasons. First of all, I do no advertising of it on my Twitter. I only tweet this thing out whenever I'm going live. Otherwise, I don't talk about my YouTube channel. And also, I only do one of these live streams every week. Like, I'm not somebody that's constantly posting content on YouTube, and it's hard to grow that way. But I've talked about it before. I don't ever see myself becoming some big famous YouTuber Obviously, if my videos were getting 50,000 views each, I'd love it, but that will never happen, I can guarantee you. So for me, Richard, it's just about slow, steady growth, you know, who knows, but my Twitter is light years larger than my YouTube. It's literally more than 10 times the size, like literally more than 10 times. But thank you, Richard. I'm glad you found the channel, and hopefully you like doing these chats. How much they afford? Twitter spaces are like salt mines because of the toxicity. Yeah, I know. That's why I haven't done one. Michael. Hey, Benji. I assume you've seen the new PS leaker. Everyone's talking about this. Okay. Here's one thing that I will reference. So Michael says, I assume you've seen the new PS leaker that talked about. Here's one thing I will reference. I'm not going to mention the date. Well, I'll say it. Who cares? Because this might not be real. If you don't want to know the Last of Us remake's release date, then cover your ears. But I doubt that's something that you guys care about that much, since it's just a date. What did they say the date is? It's February, right? Again, I really doubt you guys care that I say the date of this thing on here. It's just a date. Man, I'm trying to find the date again. Yeah, February 9th, okay? So that's what this leaker claims. Again, I have zero idea if this is real. So don't take this as me telling you that this is like, I'm backing this up. The rumor from this account is that it's February 9th and that it will be on PC day one. Now, does this shock me if it is PC day one? Not at all, guys. I've been telling you, Sony's going more and more and more down that PC road. This game in particular, I've said before, I think most of the story-based games won't be day one. I think most of those are going to be delayed before they hit PC. However, that Last of Us remake being a day one PC wouldn't shock me, because this is a new game in that it's a remake, but it's not like a brand new, never before seen game. It's a remake of a game that's already been released. So if they did that on PC day one, even though it's going to be single player focused, I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked. Now, if they announced that God of War Ragnarok was going to be day one on PC, that, I'll be honest, that would legitimately shock me, right? But a remake of a game, not so much, and that could be huge. If The Last of Us remake really does drop on PC day one, wow, that's going to do very, very, very strong numbers on PC. And it would also somewhat explain why we haven't seen any reference to The Last of Us Remastered or Part 2 coming to PC, despite so many other their legacy big franchises coming, right? We've already have it announced that Uncharted's coming. God of War already is on PC. Horizon already is on PC. Now we know Spider-Man's coming. Like, what's the big franchise that's missing? Last of Us. It would somewhat make sense that we haven't had any announcements or anything about Last of Us coming to PC if the remake really is coming. Like, if the remake's coming, there's no reason to put the remastered version on PC. So I have quite literally zero idea if this account's legit. There's some evidence to believe that they are. If it's true, though, not shocked. Not shocked, to be honest with you. And it will be huge. The GOAT, here's one thing I agree with. The tone for Modern Warfare 2 isn't the same as 2019. So I'll really brief talk on the Modern Warfare 2 reveal. So this is a game that I'm super hyped for because I loved Modern Warfare 2019. I was a little surprised, and let's see, because we are going to get gameplay footage soon. I was a little surprised how similar it looked to 2019 visually. And I know that the GOAT's saying the tone isn't the same. I think that was mostly for trailer's sake, you know, playing like the Metallica and like the hype. I get what you're saying, the GOAT. It lacked a little bit of that like seriousness that Modern Warfare 2019 carried, where it really felt like that was trying to be. It's still Call of Duty, so it's not going to be ultra realistic. But they were trying to make it feel a little more grounded and realistic, while this trailer felt a little more bombastic again. I think that was mostly for trailer's sake. I hope the game itself is still a little bit more grounded. But I will say, and I'm still very excited for this game, one thing I did notice in this trailer is I was a little surprised how visually similar it looked to 2019. I'll be honest with you, I expected a bigger jump in terms of graphics. Now, we haven't seen actual, like, straight-up gameplay, so maybe that does look like a bit of a leap, but considering how at the time when 2019 came out, it was like really good looking for any game. Like honestly, when 2019 dropped, Call of Duty was one of the best looking shooters on the market, and we knew that Modern Warfare 2 is being built on a new engine. So I thought Infinity Ward were going to push things again, and it looked to me almost the same as 2019 visually. Now, maybe there are some improvements. I'm sure there are if you compare them side by side, but I thought the jump would be bigger. Maybe, though, the gameplay will look a lot more impressive. I didn't think it looked like a bad game. Like, I didn't look at the visual and be like, wow, this looks bad. I was just like, this looks just like Modern Warfare 2019. So that, to me, was a bit of a surprise, but I'm going to wait to judge the visuals until we see, like, actual gameplay. I think I had a super chat. I did. The Truth Teller, thank you so much. I'm not sure what currency that is, but thank you so much, Truth Teller, for this super chat. Benji, you think we will have a deep dive on Avowed in this Xbox showcase? Thanks. I do think Avowed's going to be there. Thanks for the chat getting over 100. Thanks, guys. We haven't been over 100 here in a few weeks. We've been getting close lately. I have noticed that the live viewership has been up recently. We've been hitting into those 80s and 90s, but thanks for getting us to over 100 concurrent viewers, guys. Do I think Avowed's going to be at the showcase? Yes. Now, again, this isn't inside information. Just like Grubb said, this thing is pretty locked down. I don't really know anything that's going to be at this showcase. I do think Avowed's going to be there because I think, I've said this before, I think a couple reasons, Truth Teller. First of all, we know Avowed's pretty far in development. Like, there was reports quite a while ago from Jez, for example, saying that he had already seen, like, gameplay stuff of this. We know this is pretty far in development. Now, I don't think it's coming this year. I've seen some people really be like, come on, maybe Avowed's this year. It's not. I think they would have already announced that, but I do think it's coming next year. Like, I'm pretty confident Avowed's going to make a 2023 release date. So we know it's pretty far in development, so it makes sense to show it. But the second reason why I'm feeling pretty darn good that Avowed's going to be here is for marketing reasons. It kind of makes sense to show a big fantasy RPG coming from Xbox because it sounds like Fable and Elder Scrolls 6 are pretty far away still. So what a good opportunity to get Avowed marketing focus in there, right? If that's going to be coming before both of those other games, you don't really want to market 3 fantasy games next to each other, right? And I know the settings are going to be different. I know the gameplay is going to be different, but if you're going to have next year, for example, you're going to show Avowed and you're going to show Fable and, you know, maybe another teaser because Starfield will be out for Elder Scrolls 6 by then. You start to get a lot of fantasy RPG overlap. Right now seems, to me at least, as a perfect opportunity to really put that marketing focus on Avowed and be like, here's the next big fantasy RPG that's going to be coming from, you know, Xbox Studios. And then, you know, next E3 or so, you can talk about Fable and that kind of thing. So I do think it's going to be here, Truth Teller. Now, is that going to be a deep dive? I'm not so sure, but I'll be very shocked if you don't see Avowed. If Avowed's a no-show at this E3, that would, to me, be a huge surprise. I'm pretty confident you're going to see it, and I think you will see in-game. Like I said, is that going to be a 10-minute deep dive? I don't know, but will you at least see a trailer that shows you what this game is? I'm pretty darn confident. I'm pretty confident, Truth Teller. Highlander here with a super chat. Just a funny one. Funny super chat. $2 from Highlander. Thank you so much. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream? Anything chocolate. I love anything chocolate related. You know what's funny? I don't really have a huge sweet tooth except chocolate. I'm not a guy that loves like tons of sweets. Like I don't just eat lots of random candies and sugars, but I do like chocolate. So Highlander, that could be any chocolate. That could just be regular chocolate ice cream. That can be chocolate ice cream with goodies in it. Some form of chocolate. That is my weakness. That is my sweet tooth weakness, is you put chocolate in there and man, it's hard for me to say no. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite. Thank you so much, Highlander. Benji here with a 10. And thank you so much, Highlander and Benji. I'm pretty sure that's your guys' second super chats for this live chat. Thank you so much. Benji, thoughts on Resident Evil 4 Remake and Street Fighter 6? Yeah, let's talk about these. They're going to be big. I'm telling you guys, I'm feeling good about Street Fighter, surprisingly. Any sales predictions? If Resident Evil 4 Remake is very successful, could Capcom drop first-person view for the next sequel? Okay, couple great questions here from Benji. Let's take them one at a time. So first of all, thoughts on Resident Evil 4 Remake. I mentioned this either last chat or the chat before. This thing's going to sell 10 million units. Pio White Wolf's in chat. What is up, Pio? Great to see you, my man. Love you, buddy. I think this thing's going to sell over 10 million units. Resident Evil 2 Remake is on the path to sell over 10 million. It will. There's no doubt Resident Evil 2 Remake's going to hit 10 million plus. Resident Evil 2 was a pretty beloved game, but it wasn't anywhere near as beloved as Resident Evil 4. You can pretty much argue that Resident Evil 4 is the most beloved game ever in Resident Evil. Now, I know that also comes with some risks that you will, upset people that are going to be super beloved to the original. But as we've seen, strong nostalgia, really strong hooks to something in the past can lead to huge numbers. Just look at what Obi-Wan did on Disney Plus, right? Obi-Wan became the biggest Disney Plus series. Why? Because sure, people love Star Wars, but it was also because they felt so attached to the people that grew up on the prequels, and they grew up with that as their Obi-Wan. Like, that was a really big deal for them to see him back. Anytime you can take something super beloved and bring it back, there's potential for huge sales. Resident Evil 2 Remake is going to do over 10 million. Resident Evil 4 Remake, it is also going to do over 10 million. The only way that game misses 10 million unit sales is if the remake is just a disaster. Even Resident Evil 3 Remake, which again, Resident Evil 3, the original, nowhere near as beloved as Resident Evil 2, and also the actual remake not responded to near as strong as Resident Evil 2 was. Even that game has sold over 5 million units. I mean, you know what I mean? And it's not done selling. It's still shipping. Like, that game's going to get over 6 million. I don't know if it's going to make it to, 8 or 9 or something like that, but it's going to sell over 6 million units for sure. Resident Evil 4 Remake would have to be a disaster to miss 10 million. So that's going to do really great. Personally, I really like the reports that it's going way more horror than what the original was. However, I can also see that potentially upsetting people that love the original, because the original, while it has some horror elements, it's also more of like an action game and some silliness. Sounds like the remake is not headed that way. Sounds like the remake is really going horror, which for me, I love, okay, because I love horror games. Now, Street Fighter 6, I mentioned this on the last chat. This to me was such a surprise. I did not see this coming, that it was going to look this good. And what I can also tell you is the hype on social media is like nothing I've ever seen for Street Fighter. I have never seen social media so on fire for a Street Fighter game. The hype for 6 feels so much higher than the hype felt for 5. This thing's going to do, I think, really good. If it's anywhere near as good as it looks, and keep in mind, they've still not shown a ton. A lot has leaked, though, and those leaks look fire, and what they've already shown looks fire. I mean, dude, Street Fighter 6 is going to do real well for Capcom. I don't know an exact unit prediction, but is it going to beat 5 in sales? I am like 99.9% sure, unless somehow when this game comes out, it's nowhere near as good as it looks. If it matches up to what it looks like, this thing is going to smash 5 in sales. Not a doubt in my mind. So Street Fighter 6 looking great. Now, the last question here, could Capcom drop first-person view for the next sequel? I don't think so. I think the next Resident Evil is going to be wrapping up this current, from some of the reports, going to be wrapping up this current trilogy that was 7, Village, and then 9, whatever that ends up being called. I think that one is probably still locked in for first person because even Village still sold huge numbers. After that, though, who knows? But I don't think first-person Resident Evil is ever going to go anywhere ever again. I think they're going to do this like what they're doing currently, where you see third-person games and first-person games. It keeps the franchise feeling fresh. It gives you different types of games to play. Because if you played Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil Village, yeah, they're both Resident Evil games, but they felt very different. That's a good thing. That's a good thing to have for a franchise, having games that feel super different, because it keeps it feeling fresh and not growing stale. So I don't know if like the next, after 9, the next full-fledged mainline game will be first person, but you're definitely going to still keep getting first person games in the series because it works, keeps it feeling fresh. Thank you for that super chat, Benji. All right. Let me get back to your free questions. Thank you, everyone, for the great turnout today. Thank you for all the super chats today. I wasn't expecting it. Thank you guys so much. And that's good because, like I said, it's the last one in terms of next week. There is no chat. So I'm glad that everyone's getting their questions in now. Joseki here with a free question. The demand for the Xenoblade 3 Special Edition has killed the Nintendo store for more than 2 hours now. Feeling good about its sales. The engagement is strong. Absolutely, Joseki. Xenoblade 3 is going to be the biggest in the franchise. For a JRPG on one platform, this thing's going to put up great numbers. Now, an exact sales prediction, I'm not 100% sure. But it will be the best-selling Xenoblade, and also for a JRPG that's on one platform only, it's going to do great sales. I agree, Joseki, for sure. For sure. It's crazy how they've turned that franchise into something pretty big. You know, the original Xenoblade, we all know it took that game like a while to even make it to the West. It was only in Japan for a long time. And then even once it did make it to the West, it was more of just like kind of like a cult hit. But Xenoblade 2 really raised that franchise, and now Xenoblade 3 I feel like is taking it to another level. So I agree, Joseki. Ryan Kelly, Benji, how do you feel about so many PS studios working on multiplayer and live service titles? Even Bend is working multiplayer into their new IP. I talked about this a lot on a previous chat, so I don't want to go super long on it, but it's a big conversation point. I talked about it last week. If you want a whole lot more in depth, you can watch last week's video. Here's the clear thing I can tell you from watching the Q&A session with Jim Ryan. They're all in. They're all in on live service games. Does this mean that they're not going to make single player games anymore? No, they're still going to continue to make single player games. You're still going to get those big God of Wars, Naughty Dog games, all that stuff. But as a PlayStation fan, for any PlayStation fans out there that have kind of built their view of Sony as just being this big single player powerhouse, you do need to realize that a lot of that is going to change in the coming years. Now, those, like I said, those types of games are still coming, so don't panic about that. I'm just saying you need to be prepared for Sony to start marketing in their shows and stuff a lot that they are doing live service, that they're doing multiplayer, because there's no debate. If you listen to Jim Ryan, that is where they are headed. Again, still going to get those single player games, but they are doing a lot of multiplayer. I'm of two thoughts, Ryan Kelly. First of all, they did need to do some multiplayer. That was the main thing that you can put against them last gen. I know single player only lovers don't care about multiplayer. I know that they feel like, that it's a waste of resources or whatever. The reality is Sony was leaving money on the table just not having multiplayer projects last gen. That's the one criticism you can give of their first party. They had to do some multiplayer. Now, I also do understand, though, the argument, could they be going too far? I talked about this last week. Could they be potentially overcorrecting by going from, hey, we're not doing, basically almost any multiplayer last gen to now we're doing friggin' like half of our projects are multiplayer? Could you argue, is Sony overcorrecting here? Maybe, but we need to see how these games look. We need to see how successful they are, and we also need to see the cadence and like how this affects the single player release slate as well. I'm not panicking over it to the degree some PlayStation fans are. I think they had to do some of this, but it is a little bit too early to tell exactly what this is all going to shake out and look like, because we haven't had those big PlayStation showcases really since they announced this stuff. So let's see how it goes, Ryan, but I'm not like that worried about it, to be honest with you, but PlayStation fans do need to realize that, yes, multiplayer and live service is coming in a big way out of PlayStation. Green Thumb saying, what's up, Benji? What's up, Green Thumbs? Luis Mayorga, Jeff Keighley just posted a vid on Twitter, Benji. I'll have to watch it. I'm guessing it's some sort of hype vid. That's really cool. I'll have to check it out. Randy Norman. These are Randy Norman's predictions. Gameplay, Avowed, Forza Motorsport, Redfall, Contraband, Starfield, Belfry, Josh Sawyer's game, Compulsion Games, CGI, ZeniMax Online's new IP. Your thoughts, Benji? I will grade them. Gameplay, do I think Avowed will get gameplay? Yep. Do I think Forza Motorsport will get gameplay? Yep. Do I think Redfall will get gameplay? Yep. Contraband, That's a great point. That game probably has to be there, right? Unless something's really going bad in development. Contraband's also one that I didn't think about. Kind of has to be here. Good point. Yep. I'll say very likely. Yep. The only way I think Contraband's not here is if development's going bad. Starfield, it has to, obviously. Belfry could. Josh Sawyer has hinted that he will. I'll tell you what. I think that all of your gameplay ones are likely. The CGI one, though, where you put ZeniMax Online's new IP, I think it's still too early. So that's the one, Randy, I'll disagree with you with. I hope I'm wrong. I think it's probably still too early for the ZeniMax Online new IP. I think they probably won't show that here, but I won't say it's impossible. It has been in development now for a little bit, but from what I understand, it's still kind of pre-production early days over there on that one. So I'm going to think they're going to save the ZeniMax game maybe next year, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But I think your first part, probably all right. Probably all right, yeah. Duplex 12. I never noticed how big Pokemon is on Twitter until recently. Yeah, it's gigantic. It's ridiculous. A Pokemon-related topic is always trending. Duplex. Pokemon's enormous. We talked about this on last live chat. The Pokemon Company last year, it was the most profitable Pokemon's ever been. Think about that. Think about how long Pokemon's been around, how many years, how many generations now, and it's still... and when I say generations, like, it's literally become a generational thing. When I was a kid, I grew up on Pokemon when I was like a little kid. Now my daughter, who's a little kid, she's getting exposed to Pokemon. It's becoming a generational media. It's crazy. Pokemon's enormous. And yeah, it's huge on Twitter. Nintendo in general is. I don't know if you guys notice, like, Nintendo in general does crazy Twitter numbers. Like, it's nuts. Nintendo's got a very strong Twitter presence. I feel like that can be somewhat easy to forget sometimes for those of us more in the PlayStation or Xbox bubble, because while I like Nintendo, I've been very honest, Nintendo's the platform I play on the least compared to Xbox and PlayStation. Still like Nintendo. It's just, of the three, it's the one I play the least. It sometimes is easy to forget because Nintendo in some ways feels so separate from PlayStation and Xbox. But if you just look at, like, trending and likes and Twitter stuff, like, dude, Nintendo does crazy numbers on Twitter in general. Like, they're crazy. Oh, wait, I just remembered that I needed to get to Timmer's super chat. Let me see if he ever followed that up. I don't think he did. I don't think Timmer ever did with that Kotaku article. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Okay. Drake Williams, it took 6 years between release of Limbo and Inside. Yep, looks like we're looking at another, long one. But I'm excited for their new game. Ashu Neji says, holy smoke, that Modern Warfare 2 is awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for it, dude. I'm very excited for Modern Warfare 2. The only criticism I could give it, and this isn't a big criticism, like I said, I did think visually I expected a bit more of a jump. But it's hard to say on a trailer like that because it's not direct feed gameplay. And there was a couple shots in there that looked really good. That night vision shot, if you've seen the trailer, there's a shot where they're like walking through a field and it's night vision. That looked spectacular. But I'll grade the visuals more when we actually see like campaign footage. But besides that, it looks great. Yeah, it's going to be huge. Danger Man, I really hope Ragnarok trailer tomorrow coming. Confirming a release this year. Like I said, I think there's a good shot. Good shot you get Ragnarok tomorrow. Randy Norman, I still think that Perfect Dark will be at the Game Awards at the end of the year. That I could see. I don't think it's going to be here. I think that game's still too early. I don't think you're going to see many 2024 games at the Xbox Showcase. I could be wrong. I think you're going to see a lot of 2023. Like, I don't think they're going to be afraid to talk about games next year. But I'm not even convinced that Perfect Dark's coming out next year. I think that game might be 2024. Same thing with Fable. I think both those games have a good shot of being 2024 games. So I don't think they'll show much of that. I don't think they'll show much of stuff that far out. But 2023, I think you'll see a lot of. So... Perfect Dark at the end of the year at the Game Awards, that might be possible, yeah. Yeah, Luis Mayorga here with a great point. Like we were talking about earlier about like how game, I think, they just wait too long to announce stuff. Movies get announced to be in the works before even concept art. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think that the gaming industry, one risk they run of leaks nowadays is you just wait too long to announce the game. I don't think you need to come out with like a big, huge CG trailer too early because then people get frustrated when they're waiting, 6 years. But at least announcing that the project's in the works early might help with some of these leaks. DangerMan1337, Kojima's Xbox games was about cloud. Yes, that is the word. I really doubt cloud focus really benefits horror unless Kojima Productions has 3 games. Dangerman, I can't go into this, but you'll see. You'll see what the cloud means for what he's doing. You'll see. If you read some of the leaks that are out there, you'll kind of see. Doesn't sound to me like a traditional game, what Kojima is making here. Sounds like it's going to be something really weird, which shouldn't surprise people because Kojima loves to do weird stuff. But Dangerman, if this is really the Kojima Xbox game, don't expect that you're just going to play through this from point A to point B in a narrative like straight up, what's the word I'm looking for? Linear horror game like Dead Space 1. That does not sound like what this is going to be. Again, if some of the leaks that are out there are legit. I think we said JCat drop a super chat. Wow, 2 super chats just came in. Thank you so much. So let me first hit Ramses here. I didn't see that one pop. Thank you, Ramses. For some reason lately, I noticed this in the last couple chats. YouTube has been a little weird on alerting me to some of these super chats, so I apologize, Ramses. I just now I'm seeing this. With the 2. Thoughts on Overdose? New Kojima game leaked. Yep. So we were just talking about this. The word is, Ramses, that this could potentially be the Xbox game. It could potentially be that cloud-based game. Horror is what it sounds like. Again, I don't know all of this for certain that it's legit. Overdose is real. I mean, Kojima wouldn't have asked Tom Henderson to take the article down unless it was real. Like, you just don't. That's the golden rule in this industry, or any industry, is if you post a leak or you post a story and then you are requested to take it down, that's literally confirmation. No one's going to ask you to take down false info unless you're like slandering someone. But if you're like reporting a project or something and it's not real, no one's going to ask you to take that down. If you are requested to take it down, it literally is confirmation it's real. You're trying to protect the knowledge from getting out there. So Overdose is definitely real. It's definitely a horror game coming from Kojima. The big question here is this the Xbox Cloud game? I think it is, but I'm not 1,000,000% sure on that. So, Ramses, what I said in this chat so far, I think it's going to get announced at Summer Game Fest or the Xbox Showcase. That makes sense why it's leaking now, because they're probably getting assets ready. They're probably starting to send things around outside of the studio, right? That's usually a lot of times when stuff starts leaking is when I'm not going to say it never happens, but it's not often that leaks come directly from the development team. Usually leaks like this start coming out when people start getting a hold of marketing materials, when things like that start to get spread around a little more openly outside of the studio. That's when a lot of the leaks start to go down. So the fact it's leaking now would point towards an imminent announcement. So Summer Games Fest or the Xbox show, I think, and I think it is probably the Kojima Xbox game. JCat here with a 10. Thank you so much, JCat. That's really generous, and thanks for helping mod the channel. And thanks for a great turnout. We have been like over 100, like this whole chat. It's been a while since we've had that. That's really awesome. Thank you guys. JCat with the 10. Do you think Sony will announce new second-party publishing deals with Japanese devs this gen, like Neo, not Death Stranding? So far, no new ones have been greenlit during the Jim Ryan era. JCat, that's a great point. That is a great point. Yeah, because the only really ones that we've heard are just the Square Enix stuff, right? Outside of that, they haven't really. And even that, they're not the publisher, right? I'm pretty sure that Square Enix is still publishing those games. They're just timed exclusives. That's a great question, JCat. I want to say yes because they need more Japanese support. We know how much Nintendo is just dominating in Japan. Like, it's not close. Nintendo is just utterly dominating Japan. If Sony still wants to have a decent sized presence, and PS5 is not performing terribly in Japan, actually, for hardware sales, it's performing, I won't say like spectacular. It's not like it's like, you know, the highest PlayStation sales ever, but it's pretty comparable to PS4. But if they want to continue to have at least a decent presence in Japan, they're going to need some of these types of games. And right now, unless you're making a deal, if you're a Japanese publisher or developer, it's very hard to justify skipping the Switch, right? Like, in your home market, the Switch is just so much more dominant that unless you're getting some money out of this, it's hard to imagine why you would pass on Switch. So I think Sony might honestly have to if they want exclusives in Japan. You know, multi-platform games shouldn't be too much of an issue for them overall, right? I think most games that are multi-platform will hit Switch and PlayStation, but if they want some big exclusives to sell hardware, they're probably going to have to start signing some of these deals. So we'll see, JCap, but it's a great point. That's a very great point out that they haven't had any updates like that from Jim Ryan. You know, it's all been so Western focused in the Jim Ryan era. It really has. Jim Ryan, like, Sony was already kind of pivoting towards the West more than being like a Japanese company in terms of PlayStation in recent years. That's only accelerated under Jim Ryan. So, great call out, JCat. And I think so. I think they're going to have to if they want exclusives from Japan. All right. Thank you guys for a great chat. Sorry, I keep repeating this, but I was not expecting today's chat to just be like constantly over 100. That's really good for my channel. All right, where am I at? FisherNet, 2 Kojima games, multiple projects from Remedy, including Max Payne and Alan Wake 2. If you would have me 2 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you. Feels very good, man. Any game director you also watch for. FisherNet, me and you got some similar tastes. I love Kojima stuff. I love Remedy games. That year, what was that? Was that 2018 or 2019? I can't remember, but my 2 favorite games the year that was were Control and Death Stranding, because I really like weird narrative stuff. And so, yeah, FisherNet, we got similar tastes, man. You're giving me more Kojima games. You're giving me more Remedy Entertainment games. You're preaching to me. Now, any game director you also watch out for, I really, really, really need a new Ken Levine game, dude. I love Ken Levine's games. There can be some debate around BioShock Infinite in terms of, like, that game. I love its story personally. I get that the gameplay feels a little bit disconnected from what they're trying to do in the narrative in some ways. I still love that game in general overall, but I understand some of the criticisms towards Infinite, but I still personally love that game. I love that Ken Levine's willing to go places that not all games go to, right? Like, he's willing to ask some questions in games and really make you think about things. And it's been so long since we've had a new Ken Levine game. That, to me, you know, is the one really sticking out. Fisher's Net. I need Ken Levine's game. Sounds like there's been a lot of development issues on that one, which isn't a surprise. The one criticism that is around Ken Levine a lot, it's not that, like, at least like the word in the reports, it's not that Ken Levine's a bad guy. You don't see reports saying Ken Levine's a bad person. It's that he can be somewhat difficult to work for because he's always changing ideas, which isn't surprising if you look at his games. They try to be bold. It's really hard for him to, like, stick with something in terms of concepts. So sounds like he can be a tough guy to work for. Not a bad person, just tough to work for. So I get why it's taking so long, but I need a new Ken Levine game. Samir, hi from India. What is up to India? I think we had a super chat. Let me hit that super chat. We did. Thank you so much. Frostbite Slash with a 5. Thank you so much for that super chat, Frostbite. Have you ever thought of doing YouTube more often with like 2 to 3 live chats a week? Love the shows and always try to catch them when I can. Yeah, let me talk about this really briefly. So I always debate doing more on YouTube. Here's the thing. I really personally like being live more than I like pre-made content. I will tell you I don't super enjoy doing pre-made content. I used to do more of it whenever I was first starting up my YouTube channel. In fact, I was not doing much live at first. Because when I first started YouTube, like anybody, if you go back and watch my super early YouTube videos, they're pretty cringe and not good. That's like anyone, I feel like. If you go to any YouTube channel, it's pretty, unless they delete their videos, it's not often that the very first YouTube videos, even for the biggest channels in the world, are like 10 out of 10 spectacular. Because anytime you join something like this, you're trying to figure out what you do, what's your groove, what are you good at, what are you bad at. And for me, I just found going live is so much more enjoyable. To me, it's so much more comfortable just talking with you guys, being live, interacting, bouncing ideas off each other. I just like being live. So I always toy with the idea of doing more pre-made content. I'll tell you, pre-made content in general tends to do better views than live for a lot of channels, unless you're like streaming games. But live tends to not get as big of views as like, you know, a short 10-minute concise video, right? Because it's a lot harder to interact with a big 2-hour stream. If someone's just scrolling through the YouTube algorithm, you can see that time. When it's a quick 10-minute video, a lot easier for people to interact with than when they see that 2-hour number or an hour and a half number. So that's why you don't see as much pre-made content out of me, because I just don't enjoy doing it that much. Now, I have thought about going live more often. Here's the problem, though. For me, going live more often, I work a full-time job, and that job is retail. So it would be hard for me to like just consistently be hitting live. The only way I'm probably going to be able to do live regularly is if I just got crazy and quit my job and just was like, hey, I'm going to go all in on just, you know, maybe I'll start a Patreon and just completely work for my audience. I've debated that. I know it's a risky thing to do, but some people have done it and been very successful. Or if I tell my work, you know, I'm only going to be able to work 2 days a week, and which is possible at my job. I could change things and put out a Patreon and really focus on, hey, I'm just going to really dive into being with my audience and being an audience-focused person. I've thought about all this stuff, guys. I really debate it all the time. Right now, Frostbite, I'm still just doing the one live chat per week. But who knows how things could change. I don't want to say it's impossible that you could get more. We'll see. And then we had a second super chat here from Frostbite. Very generous. It's 2 from you. I really like the look of Ben's new logo. Has a very futuristic / sci-fi look. Wonder if it's an indication on what is coming next from them. Thoughts? I agree. Logo looks slick. Really like the new logo. It's an improvement over their last one for sure. You know, anytime a logo changes, you never know, because I've seen some of these logo changes go really bad. I'm sure all of you have too. You can probably think of 1 or 2 off the top of your head where you're like, man, that logo change was not as good as the original. This is one that was a definite improvement. Just no doubt. Way slicker, way cleaner. It just has a nice look to it compared to the original, which was really just like 2 words. This has like an actual logo with it and stuff. I agree, it looks great. Their game could be futuristic. Here's some things that we know from job listings. We know vehicles are involved in some way. So we do know at the very least, Frostbite / this isn't like a retro game, like in terms of like setting. Like this isn't going to be going to the past. It's going to be either modern or futuristic, because there are vehicles. We know because they've hired multiple job listings have stated that they want people with vehicle experience. So it's going to be either modern or futuristic. It could go futuristic. Sony doesn't have a lot of those games. Like out of their first party, they don't have many big futuristic sci-fi games. The closest you have is Horizon, but even Horizon is not fully futuristic. Like it's super sci-fi in terms of its enemies and in terms of its narrative, but the world of Horizon, when you're exploring the world, it's very the opposite of sci-fi and future besides the robots, right? It's a very nature. So it could. They don't really have anything that is that big futuristic open world. So I don't think it's impossible, but we don't know for sure. I am smiling, but it's not because of this question, but it is funny. I'm just going to read it. Zebra's Clan Benji Smile of Metal Gear is in development, and it's been made in Unreal Engine 5. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't have info on that. I am smiling, but it's because it's funny. But I don't have any info. I can't tell you. They should. It should be coming. A Metal Gear Solid 1 remake would do huge numbers. Huge. Like, seriously huge. That could be another potential 10 million seller. You know how beloved the original Metal Gear is? If that was a well-done remake, that's money on the table. If no one's doing that right now, if Konami's not doing it, if Sony's not trying to get a deal done with Konami to remake Metal Gear Solid 1, somebody should. Because that game's very old now. That's a game that legitimately could deserve a remake. It'd be tough, though, without Kojima, right? Like, doing Metal Gear without Kojima just doesn't feel right. So that's one roadblock, but I think they should figure it out. JCat with a very nice comment here saying, yes, I think you should be a full-time content creator, Benji. You have the numbers to do it. I've debated it a lot. Here's the thing. The only reason I don't have a Patreon right now, because I get asked for it all the time. All the time people are like, Benji, where's the Patreon? We want to help support you. Start a Patreon. I only don't have one because I don't want to be one of those people that makes a Patreon just to take money. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to make a Patreon, I want to be giving something back. And I've always thought, like, what am I going to do? Like, I would make a Patreon if I was, like, going full-time on streaming and just covering games and all of that. Because then it would be like, you know, like, you guys would literally be supporting my job. Right now, I do have a job. So it's hard for me to also make a Patreon and be like, just give me money while I'm also working a job. I get for a lot of people that's not an issue, but for me, I don't want to ever feel like I'm taking advantage of people. So if I was to ever really go hard on myself for being a content creator, especially if like I still had a job but I went down to like 2 days a week, then I would be more comfortable with the Patreon, but I just haven't yet. We'll see. I might do it one day. You never know. And then I want to hit this thing that Danger Man said really quick because this is an important development. Benji-Sales, Jason Schreier and Reset Era said 16 or so minutes ago that God of War Ragnarok is still coming this year, that someone told him that it's still this year very recently. Yeah, I think so, Danger Man. Like I said, I think it's still coming this year. I think if it was delayed, we'd know by now. We're pretty late in the year to start delaying games. Not impossible. Some games we've seen get delayed at the last second, right? Sometimes a delay hits 3 months before a game's supposed to come out. But the year's halfway over. I feel like if it was getting delayed till 2023, Sony would have said something. So Danger Man, doesn't surprise me Jason said that. I think it's still coming. Red Dead series. Go live on YouTube at work to unleash that Sigma grind set. I'll tell you what, if my boss saw me going live on YouTube, I would definitely have to become a content creator because I'd get fired. I wouldn't have a choice then. Then I'd be like, yo, I have to have a Patreon. I lost my job. That's funny. Man, more super chats coming in. This is crazy. You guys, this is a crazy stream. I did not expect this. I don't know what's going on today with the viewership and the super chats, but you guys are amazing. Unexpected. Matt Duffy here with a 2 super chat. Matt Duffy with the hype, as always. Matt Duffy always delivering with a 2. Benji, you are the greatest of all time. God bless. Matt Duffy, you're the man. Every one of these gets me so hyped. You don't have to do those super chats all the time. You are the man, Matt Duffy. Thank you. These literally pump me up and make me feel better about myself. So thank you, Matt. You're amazing. Highlander001 with a 5 super chat. Thank you so much, JCat, for cleaning up the bots. You rock. You're amazing. JCat, seriously, for real, thank you for that. The bots coming in. A week without a Benji stream is like a week without sunshine. Great job, JCat, on shutting down the bots. Yes, shout out to JCat, everyone, for always being so good at modding this channel and these chats. JCat is a huge, huge blessing to this channel. She helps so much with that. And I'm sorry I can't do a live chat next week. I really apologize. Maybe I'll do one from the beach. Can you do a live chat through a phone? I don't know. I don't know if I could read chat while I was on the phone. If I could read chat while I was on the phone, I would do a live chat literally from the beach. I'd chill on the beach and do one with you guys. I don't think I can, though. I don't think I can see chat from my phone. Drawn TJ here with the 5 super chat. No PlayStation marketing for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 might come to Game Pass. They do have marketing, Drawn TJ, because we know that because the beta comes first to PlayStation. Now, the question of can it come to Game Pass is a little more complicated one. Unless the contract states, and we don't know, it could, unless the contract states, as was the case with the leaked Resident Evil Village contract. So that contract leaked whenever Capcom had their big leak internally that happened where we found out all kinds of stuff from them a couple years ago. That contract was interesting because it specifically stated in the contract that Capcom was not allowed to put the game on a competitor's subscription service, I think for a year. I think it was like 12 months. It was not allowed. Village, literally, it was stated in the deal, you cannot put this on another subscription service until our marketing deal's up. The interesting thing is we literally have no idea what the contract states for the marketing rights for Call of Duty. And if Sony didn't specifically state in the contract you cannot go on a subscription service, Activision should be able to. They just can't market it, which would be a weird thing to be on Game Pass with zero marketing, just being like stealth dropping it on Game Pass. So, Drawn TJ, if I was to make a prediction for you right now, I do not think that Modern Warfare 2 is going to be on Game Pass. I'm also think that Sony has it in the deal that it probably can't. Like I said, if it wasn't in the wording, as long as you aren't marketing it on being on Xbox, you could. But I have a feeling Sony's too smart for that in terms of when they were making this deal, and it probably is like Village, where it straight up said you can't put this on Game Pass. But they do still have marketing because the beta is first on PlayStation and stuff like that. So just because they did their own showing right now does not mean it's not still associated with PlayStation. It is. It still is. Did someone big share my stream today or something? Because I'm not sure what's going on. We're getting like a lot of new people in the chat and stuff, which is cool. Brandon X just said, hi, new to your live. You seem really cool. Thank you so much, Brandon. I really appreciate that. I don't know if I just got caught up in the YouTube algorithm in a good way today, or if someone big retweeted me on Twitter. I don't know. But the viewership's been really strong today. Thank you. Anyone that's new here, if this is your first time, we do these every week. So thank you so much. I'm going to go for about 15 more minutes, and then I got to go, okay, guys, because I got to go to work today. Thank you for the great turnout. Anyone new here, it's great to see you, and thank you. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe I got caught up in the YouTube algorithm in a good way, or maybe someone just shared the stream out. All right, where am I at? Where am I at? Truth Teller says, Benji, I think it is not the Xbox Kojima game since the agreement between both was recently signed. We will see Death Stranding 2 first. I think it's my bet. Could be, Truth Teller. It's not impossible. Again, I think this is the Xbox game, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong. It's not impossible that it's not. Because like I said, I don't have it leaked to me like someone outright was like, Benji, this is the Xbox game. It just it lines up kind of with some of the stuff that I was hearing that timing-wise it would make sense. Another super chat. Benji here with a super chat. With a 5. Thank you so much, Benji. Benji, with the big changes at Giant Bomb, could you give some perspective on video game websites why IGN is still on top? Yeah, this is really interesting. So one thing I have not tried to pursue at all is working for any of these big publications. Couple reasons for that. First of all, they're hard to get into, right? There's only so many slots. Like, of all the things that I have tried to do to get into the industry in certain ways, I can tell you, I've said here on chat, I've been very, very close for working for multiple companies in the industry, including platform holders. It's been close. At least the talks have started before, that I will not name, but everything from developers to publishers to platform holders, those conversations have at least happened. One thing I've never tried to do, is to go work for like IGN or Giant Bomb or GameSpot or anything like that. And for me, there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, it's really competitive and hard to get into, and it's more of a I don't want to say that. Listen, it's hard to get into, okay? And I don't think that any of them would hire me, to be honest with you. So I've never spent any time trying to do any of that stuff. As for the health of that industry, I do know a ton of people at all of these sorts of things. It's hard to make a lot of money in games journalism. That's just the reality. A lot of people like to think that journalists make a ton of money and they're all paid off by these companies and stuff, but I can tell you, they don't make a lot. Maybe a few of the really high up people, and we're not talking about YouTubers on their own. We're just talking about literally working at IGN, GameSpot, etc. It's hard to make a lot of money doing that sort of thing. You really got to be passionate for it. And for me, I've always thought it's just way easier to do your own thing. Nowadays, I think that IGN and all of that, they're still getting good views. They're still getting good, readership and stuff like that. But I can tell you for sure, like I know this for sure, a lot of just random YouTubers on their own are making a lot more money and getting a lot more views even than any of these legacy sites. It's really shifted now towards content creators just on their own, doing their own thing. If I ever was to become someone covering this industry as my job, I don't really have any intention of doing that anywhere but on my own. Like if that was my job. If I was working like analyzing stuff for a company, that's different. But if my job was covering games, I don't really want to go work for IGN or GameSpot or someone like that unless they gave me a ton of money. I just want to do it on my own. I have complete control. I have direct access to my audience. There's no reason to go do that. But here's the thing. Giant Bomb has a big built-in audience. It's totally cool to see people like Grub and a whole bunch of people going over there. I wish them nothing but success. Same thing for all of these sites. But I will say that it has really shifted from the way it used to be, for sure. And most of what Giant Bomb is getting, like, in terms of engagement now is through, like, video content and stuff, right? It's not people, like, reading a website. IGN, really, I feel like, is probably the same way. Probably a lot of their stuff is now through engagement, through their video content. So, yeah, it's definitely shifted. In terms of, like, a website, like, going to a website and reading articles, hard to make a lot of money doing that. Very, very difficult, Benji. Very difficult. Big Cloud Gaming, what's up? All right. Gonna hit a few more, and then I gotta bounce. A few more. I'm gonna miss tons of questions on this week's chat, but that was because this was a really big chat for me. So I apologize to people whose questions I'm not gonna get, but I've got about 10 minutes left in the tank, and then I'm out. All right, where am I gonna hit? Yeah, Peter 420. Sony announced Horizon Forbidden West as being February 2022 back at Gamescom last August. Sony is probably waiting until the last minute before announcing if God of War Ragnarok is 2022 or 2023. Yeah, they're definitely waiting until they're close to launch, and I think there's a decent chance that you're going to get that release date at Summer Game Fest, if that's true, that rumor. And if so, I think it's probably still coming. I mean, September through November, right? Somewhere in that 3-month period is what we're all thinking. So that would be pretty short turnaround because we are already in June. You'd still only be giving people a few months notice, but it's okay for a game like that. So yeah, I'm not shocked we haven't had a release date yet. I'm not shocked. They're probably waiting until they know for a fact it's going to make it. What up, Wolfgang? Oh, this is a good question. Brad Myers, this is a really good one. Do you expect Project Mara at the Xbox showcase? Ooh, I would love to see that, but I don't think so, Brad, because I think all focus right now on Ninja Theory is going to be around Hellblade 2. So we know that that's a smaller project, so they could still market that even alongside Hellblade. but I just have a feeling that they want to really focus on Hellblade right now, because I think that there's a belief within Microsoft and Ninja Theory that that could be a breakout game for them in terms of like awards and having that, you know, traditional single player game on the table that so many people have wanted, right? You see a lot of people make that comparison all the time. We've all seen them of where is Microsoft's God of War? Where is Microsoft's Uncharted? Where is Microsoft's The Last of Us, right? Where they're these really strong linear narrative games. Microsoft's way ahead of Sony when it comes to multiplayer and online games, right? Like they just do way more of that. But then they're like a literal flip. The criticism of Sony last gen, not enough multiplayer, not enough service stuff, all single player mostly. Microsoft was kind of the opposite. They had a lot of multiplayer, a lot of things like that, but they didn't have a ton of those big single player narrative games. I think that there's a belief in Microsoft this could be that big breakthrough game for them. I feel like that with Ninja Theory, they just want to really focus on Hellblade. But it's not impossible because it is a smaller game. So you never know, Brad. But right now, to me, I don't rank that as super high on my likely list for the showcase. But you never know. Chris, give me Silksong or give me Death. There are some hints that it might be at Summer Game Fest, finally. That would be wild to finally see that game. So maybe you might get it tomorrow, Chris. Maybe. Brian McHenry, how much longer will Call of Duty be cross-gen? The word on the street is this is the last one. That's the word. Because next year is skipping, and the year after that, current gen only. That's the word. I don't know that for a fact, but the word on the street is that Modern Warfare 2 is the last cross-gen Call of Duty. So this is probably the last one right here. Zid, Benji, what's the current temp on the Microsoft Active Blizz deal going through? Good. From what I'm hearing, and again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't have any law experience. So that is something that, like, I don't want to tell this to you as a lawyer looking at the situation. This is what it looks like. I can only relay the things I'm hearing, the things I'm seeing. It looks like that's still pretty strong that it's going to go through. A lot of people connected to it are saying it's moving actually decently quickly for something this size. Keep in mind, it's literally one of the biggest acquisitions ever in terms of entertainment and tech. It's literally a ginormous acquisition, the biggest the gaming industry's ever seen. That's going to take time. The word is, though, it's going pretty good. That's the word. There was a little bit there where people were getting pretty worried, but I think you don't need to worry, to be honest. It's looking like it's going through pretty well overall, is what I would say, Sid. Kellegrim. What's up, Kellegrim? Great to see you, buddy. Sup, Benji? Question about the next Doom. Yeah, whenever it's announced. With the setbacks of Halo Infinite's multiplayer content, do fans need to worry they might try the same with the Doom IP? I mean, Doom's had multiplayer before. The original Doom reboot had multiplayer. Eternal, I don't think had competitive, right? Eternal just had the like that co-op invasion type mode. I never messed with that. But I mean, Kellegrim, to be honest, Doom getting multiplayer wouldn't be anything new. So I would say that I wouldn't rule out the next Doom game having a competitive multiplayer component. We have already seen that before. It very well could. Do I think that Microsoft's going to like focus that? No. I mean, Halo is still in the top. I think it's in the top 15 most played games on Xbox right now. Let me see. Let's check. The reporting that Halo's dead is largely overblown. Now, is it like doing spectacularly 10 out of 10, conquering the market? No. But the idea that like no one plays Halo is like pretty inaccurate. So right now, yeah, it's still in the top 15 most played games right now today on Xbox. So it's still literally one of the most popular games on the platform. So I don't think that Microsoft's in like panic mode, like they have to get something to replace Halo as their big FPS, because it's still doing pretty good. It's not, like I said, I wouldn't call it a home run by any means. You know, it's not in your top 5 most played games, but it's also not like just disappeared off the charts and no one plays Halo anymore. There's only I think it was when I looked 14. There's only 13 games on the platform that are getting played more than it. So it's still one of the most popular games. You could see Doom get multiplayer though. But I think if that happens, it will be more because id wants to make a multiplayer mode for it. Not so much Microsoft being like, oh my God, we have to panic and pivot. Now we have to force multiplayer into Doom. It'll just be because id wants to put multiplayer in it, if that happens. All right, I'm going to do 2 more questions, I think, and I got to go. I wish I could do more, guys. I just literally have to go to work. I don't have an option. And this was a huge chat. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate that. So I'm going to pick out 2 random questions, and then I got to go. Oh, yeah, I've seen some people debating this, so this is a good one to bring up. Ryan Thompson, do you expect a Banjo reveal after Phil Spencer unlocked an achievement for Banjo-Kazooie? So this is interesting. Here's the thing. Normally, under normal circumstances, I would say that fans latching onto achievements is like, come on now, guys. Like, how desperate are we getting that we're looking at things like this? But, Ryan, Phil likes to tease. We know this. Phil Spencer likes to tease the fan base about announcements. From wearing shirts at E3 conferences to putting things on a bookshelf. It's actually not too crazy that some people are theorizing, wait, Phil Spencer randomly unlocked a Banjo-Kazooie achievement. Could he be hinting at the audience, you're going to get Banjo? It's not impossible, strictly because, like I said, if this was any other, like, just person at a company, I'd be like, you guys are reading way too into something. But Phil Spencer likes to do this. He thinks it's fun to tease and you know, excite the fan base with things like this. So do I think this is a slam dunk? It's definitely not a slam dunk. This literally could just be a coincidence. But I don't think people are crazy for wondering. Phil has kind of built that expectation up. Not that like, wow, people should be mad at Phil Spencer if Banjo's not announced. I don't mean like that. I just mean he's built up that reputation of, hey, Phil Spencer will tease announcements at the audience. People are going to be looking for stuff. So I think Banjo-Kazooie is definitely going to come back. I really find it unlikely you never see Banjo again. Is that going to be at this E3, Ryan, or showcase? I'm not going to go super confident on that. I do think Banjo comes back, though, and this could be a tease. You never know. You can't rule it out with Phil. He does this sort of thing, so you can't rule it out. Oh, the leak is September. Oh, I read the date wrong. Oh, okay, so this was back to, I read the date wrong. Oh, it's a European release date. Oh, so that would be that it's coming, that would be that it's coming this September for The Last of Us Part 1 remake. Interesting. Wow, that's sooner than I expected. There's been a lot of rumors that the remake is coming this year. If that's coming this year, like September, wow. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. That has to get announced like now. Guys, if Last of Us Part 1 remake is coming in September, that's got to get announced like ASAP, dude. I don't know, man. This is making me question the leaker. Unless it's going to get announced at Summer Game Fest. Because, dude, September is... Because this game's not even announced. God of War could announce a date late because it's an announced game. But this isn't even revealed. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. We'll see. We'll see. Michael Yu, over 100 because people are excited for the upcoming showcases. This is the best time of year. You're probably right. People are just excited because we actually have something cool going on. It's not just a random slow news week. So cool. I'm glad for the turnout. I'm definitely not going to complain. All right, last one. I got to get one question and I got to go. I'm sorry. I wish I could get way more, but I have to go. We have one super chat coming in at the end. I'm not going to count this. I'm going to do one question and then I'm out. Split End 89 with a 2 super chat. What is up, Split End? You are the man. Made it at the end. Keep rocking, Benji. All good, Split End. You're the man. Thanks for the super chat. I'm sure you were covering Call of Duty. I know how big of a Call of Duty fan you are, buddy. So, dude, it's all good, man. All good. Thank you for that super chat. All right. 1-1. One question right at the end. I'm going to pull a random one. Reggie here, really short one. Will Sony announce release date and price for VR2 at Game Fest? No, I don't think so. I think Sony will be announcing the price and the release date this year. That's probably going to be at that September showcase, though, if that's real. Like, if Sony's still going to do a big, like, their own showcase this year, which I think we all think they will, probably in, like, September, like the last 2 years, that would be where they would announce it. It sounds like that's coming early next year. Probably no really reason to announce that date or price yet. They can wait a few more months when it's closer to launch, within like 6 months of launch, and then announce it. So, Reggie, not at Summer Game Fest in my opinion. You should see it, though, at the next big PlayStation showcase. That's probably where they announce the date and price. All right. I think I gotta go. Think I gotta go. I'm gonna do one last one here for strikers. John Scott, last question. I'm sorry for anyone that got one missed. I apologize. John Scott, Benji, hope you're doing well. What are your sales expectations for Mario Strikers? It looked a little bare bones to me. Bonus, what about Fire Emblem 3 Hope? So we're going to end on some Nintendo sales questions. Fun stuff. Wasn't the reviews... I don't want to spread misinformation here. I feel like the reviews that I saw weren't that high for Mario Strikers. Where are they at? Yeah, it's at a 75 Metascore. It's not terrible, right? 75 is not terrible. There's a lot of games I love that are in the 70s, but it's not necessarily a home run in terms of reviews. I expect this game to sell well, but not crazy. I could be wrong, of course, like always, but I don't think that this is the sort of game that's going to be like a shocking breakout success like we've seen from some Nintendo games where like it just vastly outperforms what you ever expected. I would be a little more tame on this one, but it should still sell millions. It'll still be a multi-million unit seller, but I don't think you can expect like 10 million plus out of this game. I hope I'm wrong. I want every game to sell a lot. But I think you're going to be looking closer to a little bit above what Mario Tennis Aces did. Better than Tennis Aces. Soccer is just way more popular. But where did that finish at? What did that finish at? Or total sales for that? Because it's going to be higher. It will be higher than that. So by March 2019, it was at 2.6 million. That's obviously gone up since then, but I don't know if we have anything above that. It'll do way better than that. What was Mario Golf at? What was that at? Because it's probably going to be more close to something like that. All right. I'm thinking, wow, it was at 1.9 back in November. All right, I'm thinking you're going to be looking closer to that. I mean, soccer we all know is so huge. Probably closer to that 5 million, maybe a little less, but like I'll be surprised. I don't think you're going to look at this as some 10 million unit seller kind of thing. I know it's so easy to overestimate Nintendo sales because they've been such giant sellers across the board. But to me, this doesn't look like some game that's going to shock us with crazy sales. Probably, somewhere around that 5 million. Could be a little less. Could be like 3, 4 million, something like that. But 5 million to me is my high end, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll be honest. This one's a little bit weird to predict. So I'm not sure. Fire Emblem 3 Hopes should do well. I think it'll definitely be a million seller. Do I think it'll be a 2 million seller? Probably not. It's hard for me to see it doing 2 million. I know Age of Calamity did big numbers, but that was a Zelda game. You know what I mean? That was a Zelda game. So Age of Calamity, that thing did really great, actually. It did over 4 million units, but I can't see this doing that. Not even close. I would say the high end, best case scenario for Three Hopes would be 2 million. I know that Fire Emblem Three Houses sold well, but I don't know. This is a spin-off, and it's a Musu game, or however you say it. Yeah, where was that? That was at 3.4 million for regular Fire Emblem. So I'm saying it's going to be a hard task for this to do over 2 million as a spin-off and not a main Fire Emblem game. I would say I think it will do 1 million. I think you're going to get 1 million out of Three Hopes. 2 million would be a freaking home run for this game. So that would be in a best case scenario, but I don't think so. I think just over 1 million. All right, everyone, I got to bounce there. Sorry, I wish I could do way more questions and stuff, but I just have to bounce. I got to go to work. So thank you for a great turnout today. We were over 100, almost the entire chat. First time this channel's done that in a while. I've had it happen before, but it's been a while since we had a whole chat do over 100 for almost the whole stream. So thank you for that great turnout on the live chat. Thank you for all of these super chats. Thanks for all of your encouragement and support. You guys are all amazing. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I do one of these chats every single week, except for next week because I'm on vacation. But normally we do these every single week, so you guys can come back, not next week, but the week after, and we'll be recapping all of the announcements from Summer Game Fest, Xbox Bethesda Showcase, all that news that's going to hit. We're going to have a great chat like 2 weeks out because we're going to have a ton to talk about. So subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Like the video if you haven't already. It helps the YouTube algorithm, helps people find my channel. Follow me if you don't, for some reason, on Twitter. I'm Benji-Sales. That's my main platform. It's where I'm way more active. That's where I have a lot bigger following than I do on YouTube. So hit me up on Twitter at Benji-Sales. And I'm out of here, guys. Stay safe. Play some games. I'll see you either on Twitter here really soon, or I'll see you on YouTube in 2 weeks. Not next week, 2 weeks. And have a great day or a great evening, everyone. Thanks so much, guys. You all rock, and I'll see you soon. Bye. See ya. Bye.